In this video, I'm going to show you how to do the exploded view for the assembly for the butterfly valve. Now, for the drawing, you're going to take the object, your valve, and you're going to just pull it apart. Now, you notice that I have the center lines that project, and I also have an assembled section. So, and up here at the top, I actually have a table of the item, the quantity, and the description, also what it's made out of. And I also have another view that has the object in like a line style, hidden line style. So I'm going to start with my model view. I'm going to take a look at the object. So this is the one I was working with to create the dimensions for the body, the retainer, and the arm. So I'm going to come over here, and I've already got it drawn out, but I'm going to explain to you how to do that. And I've also got it split in half to show the half size view. So I'm going to go to the home screen, and I'm going to change this to the southwest view. Now I'm going to take I'm not going to touch this one because this one's where all my dimensioned objects are, and I don't want to move that information. So I'm going to take a copy of this one. So I'm going to CO for copy, and I'm going to move it over here. Turn my ortho off just to get you an idea of how I'm going to lay this out. Now, let me move this. Escape. Now I want it to look similar to this one, but notice that the way that it's projected is not the same as this one. So what you can do is you can start moving these objects in for move, and you're just turning your ortho on and you're projecting them out. Okay, I'm going to also leave this as a top view, southwest. So I'm going to move this object out. And I'm going to move this one out. Now, as I've been doing this, any errors that I've been making in the drawing, I've been fixing my object. So I'm going to move the screws out next. And I can get rid of any miscellaneous lines that I don't need. And then I'm going to pull the retainer out. And I'm just M for moving, and I'm pulling it so it's on, my ortho is on, so I don't lose the projection. I don't want this at a different plane. I'm also going to remove the shaft and the plate at the same time. Push this back, and I'm going to move this one back this direction. Now I'm going to move the plate, and I'm going to move the plate directly up. And I'm going to move this out. Now, before you start rotating anything, you need to draw these lines in. So I am just going to project this through the center, and I'm going to change it from a visible to a hidden or a center line. I'll do it to a center line. Now, if you didn't have that line, you can do a polyline, and you can do from center to here. Now, if you've rotated it and you're trying to align it, then you're going to have a very hard time to get these drawn in. So draw them like this now. I'm going to use MA. MA is match, so I want it to look like that. So that's my hidden lines. Now I can do a 1 to 4 here so you can see it. Excuse me. And I'm also going to draw my lines from the center point up. Turn my O snaps off. See how it's, I can't pull it up, so I'm going to go back to, I'm going to do right, and I should be able to pull up. Put my snaps back on, center, and I pull up. Center, and I pull up. Now I can just pull it to the center like I've got this one, or I can project it further. It doesn't matter. MA for match properties. And regen. Now the only reason I changed to 1 to 4 here is so my hidden line, or my center lines, would look more appropriate. So I'm going to do a just to show that it's projecting from here. Now, see, I can't pull it this direction anymore. I can only pull it in those two with my ortho on. So I know I have to go back to the front, the top view, and project. So you have to think about what view you're looking at for the projection. MA for match, and I'm going to just match it to that. All right. So now that I've got some of my projection lines done, I can, if I come over here to my exploded view, take a look at how it looks on this sheet here. So it's angled orientated this way, and this is a M view, my viewport, at an odd shape. When it goes to print, I'll show you what it looks like printed. Since the viewport is on the no plot layer, it doesn't show up. Even though I can see it, you can't see the viewport polyline. So I'm going to escape that. But notice how, notice how this is projected. So it looks like I can actually see all the pieces. Now I'm going to go to my exploded view, and I'm going to create, so I'm going to type in M view to create my viewport. Now I'm going to go ahead and change the layer to viewport, so I'll be on the right layer. So I'm going to go M view, and down here at the bottom, I'm going to, either you can type in P or you can do polygon. P is for polygon. And I'm just going to create a shape. I'm going to turn my ortho off. And that just allows me to create a viewport at any shape that I want. Now, and I can fix the actual shape later. It's not that important to me. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to change that scale to 1 to 4. I'm going to zoom out, zoom back in. Now, exploded views don't have to be to scale. I'm just going to see if the 1 to 4 will fit in here. So, double click on the inside, pan down. Nope, 1 to 4 won't fit. So I can do a 1 to 8, but that's kind of tiny. I can do a 1 to 5. Well, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to do a 1 to 5 scale. Now the nice thing is this is like a regular polyline, and I can pull this out and I can add a vertex. I can pull this one out. Now remember, it doesn't have to be perfect, because the viewport, if I go to plot it, since it's on the viewport layer, preview, you don't see that bounded line. Okay, so you could leave it like this. You could leave the orientation like this. This looks fine. But I actually wanted mine to be a little bit more rotated, so it looked like it was more flat coming in. So I'm going to show you just how to rotate, 3D rotate. So you're going to select all the objects, and you're going to come up here to 3D rotate. Or you can type in 3D rotate. 3D rotate. And you have to determine what you want to rotate it by. So the red one rotates it like this. That's not the one we want. The green one rotates it about this axis. So now we may want to rotate it up and down this direction. That's what I did for this one over here once I got it set. But I'm actually going to rotate it by the blue one for right now, so it's more at an angle such as this. Okay, and then when I look at my exploded view, I just tug on that so it looks like that. So that looks pretty good. Now, I'm just pulling this in. You don't have to. I'm just doing this because I want to clean up my space around it. Once I have that set, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create that section view. So I'm going to go back to model. To create this object, I'm going to create another copy. And you can have multiple copies in your drawing. You just have to be aware of what you're touching and what you're not touching. So to be able to create this, what I did is I created from a polyline. I did it at the center, and I turned my ortho on so I could project out. and then I go to the right endpoint, down, and then I'm going to pull this one this direction, and I only want it to go to here. I'm actually going to pull this out just a little bit. I'm going to copy this. Copying and doing it this way is easier than keep switching planes, because I know that I'm touching from endpoint to endpoint. Now, you can p-edit these together or just recreate a polyline over the top of it. Oops. Do endpoint. Well, maybe it will p-edit easier. Multiple. And then I select everything. Enter. Join, because I will have to flip. The reason I'm doing this is because I'll have to flip these again. I'm going to make sure that these are all on the same plane. So I'm going to switch to multiple viewports. So I'm going to select all of these and see if they show up in the same planes on all of them. And they appear to. So I'm going to change that one to right. And right. I'm going to change this one to front. And all I'm doing is checking to make sure that everything is in the exact plane that I want it drawn in. For example, when I highlight this, they're all in the same plane. So now I'm going to just do P-line, enter, 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 or pick, sorry, right, left click, and close. So what I've done is I've created, and I'll delete one of these, I've created a polyline. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this object so I can trim by it. But now here's the thing, is I want to trim, I'm going to go back to my single viewport. I only want to trim or subtract out the portion for the retainer, the bait, and the body, the retainer and the body, so I can see the inside. So what I'll need to do is either create two of them and subtract twice, which would probably be easier than, well, I'll take that back. I can actually move the other objects. For example, I can move these two objects a specific distance away. Let's say F8, turn my ortho on. Make that 100, no, let's make that 1,000 millimeters away. Now what I can do is I can extrude this. I'm actually going to make 2 copies. And I'm going to extrude this direction. I'm just going to arbitrarily pick a point. Now I have to move this copy back down because I'll have to extrude it twice. Because, watch, I'm going to keep this object, but I'm going to subtract it by that object. So I have to have the second one to extrude out. And I'll do it again. I'm going to keep this object. Now, I'm just showing you the basics. So when you start working with the 3D, you can use a lot of different commands, like the slice command up here. I'm just going to do it the simplest way to with the commands you already know. So I'm going to move this back this direction 1,000. Okay, so now I have my object here. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to your exploded assembly tab and you're going to create another view, M view, and this time it's just going to be rectangular. Come inside and find the object that you just created. Now you can do 1 to 5 again, but that's too big. So maybe 1 to 8. 1 to 8 looks good. Now I'm not so much worried about the scale. I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to put NTS, which means not to scale. So here I'm just going to change it to NTS because we're not building by this, we're just looking at an example. Okay, now the next thing that I have is I want to create my leader lines. So I'm going to come up here to annotate, and in this I've got these multi-leaders and I've got these different styles. There's a copy of the standard which I created and I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to just start with the standard and I'm going to click the leader style and I'm just going to go new and I'm going to say balloon call out, okay? Because that's typically, they're called either balloons or I'm just going to call it a call out and go continue. Now to get that call out, that tag, I'm going to go to the content and I'm going to change that to block. All right, now I'm going to change the leader style, I'm sorry, the format style. I'm going to change that to 1. And I'm going to change the, all right, so that should be fine. And go OK, and then set current and close. So now when I pull out the leader line, it says tag number, and I'm going to give this a tag number of 2. Go OK. Turn my ortho up. Now this is, whoops, wrong direction. Now this is really tiny. So what I can do is I can take the call out and scale it up until it's the proper size that I'm looking at. So I'm going to do 10. Now, the other thing is you have to take a look at, depending on what default it is, I'm going to modify that. And I'm going to say the leader line is 0.1. The arrow, set current, and close. I think that arrow is too small, so I can change that again. Modify, and I'm going to do 0.25. Set current, close. Now, the other thing that you have to worry about is the actual bubble. So if yours is located, if your circle in your size isn't correct, so here's the other thing, is this is actually, if you type in BEdit, this is actually a tag. So if yours isn't correct, go ahead and open that circle tag and take a look at the information. So my circle has radius of 1/4, diameter of 1/2, and its XY location is 0, 000. Now the tag is, it's an attribute, it's not annotative, its height is 0.125, and it's located by middle center justification to the center of the circle. Okay, so just to be aware that you can modify this tag also. So I'm going to go ahead and close the block editor. And remember, in the call out, so I'm going to fix these so they're the right sizes. So I'm going to modify that one last time. I'm going to change this size to 4. I'm going to change the break size to 3.75. I confirmed with another drawing that these are the ones that I want. The landing size is 8. The content is circle, so I go OK, and I set current, and I close. Now, I do have to do BEdit because I put the wrong size of the circle tag in there. So this object has a radius of 4, and the tag number, or the tag number, the height is 3. Okay, so I'm going to save the block, close the block. There. Now, The only thing is the location of this point right here. So I am going to modify this block one more time. So in this part on the structure, I need to uncheck the second segment angle and go OK and set current and close. That'll get rid of that line right there. All right, so now I finally got that set up, but this is something you'll have to play with because depending on what size your drawing is, you have to understand your scaling. And since we're using two different scales, metric and English in this drawing, it's a little different. So I'll go multiliter, and sorry, multiliter, come out here, it'll be 4, point toward that object, repeat multiliter, 5 to the next object, multiliter, 6, point to the arm, 7, and OK. Now we've got all of our objects in there. So we're going to do the same thing and we may bring some of these down just to also notice if you get one of those things again, then right click reassociate and you can just pick another spot and regen. If the yellow dots stay, don't worry about it. I can also delete it. Oops. And redo another one. Put 5. Okay. Oops, does not want to reassociate. There we go. And if you ever move these, then they'll always get that point where it has to be reassociated. Again, the computer will print this out fine without having any problems, so I'm not going to keep reassociating these. Now I can just copy these same tags down here. When I do that, I actually want to make these tags smaller. Now to make these tags smaller, you can just pick on them and change the overall scale to 0.75 just to make them a little bit smaller than these objects. These are still 1. Okay, so I'm not going to finish that up. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next piece. I'm going to create another M view. Now here's the other thing, is what did I just do? I put all of these on the wrong layer. So I'm going to change this to the dimension layer. And here's another way to do that. You can select one, right click, and select similar, and then change them all to the dimension layer. Okay, now I'm going to create another viewport, and I'm going to put it up here, and I'm going to zoom in on my object, but this time, instead of it being conceptual, I'm going to do hidden. And I can change that scale to 1 to 10. And I can change that and move it over. Remember, the viewport won't print, so you won't see that. The other thing is I can move this down. Just visually, I don't like mine to cross so I can see it. So it won't print, but I just like to have it where it's not crossing anything. Oops, let go. And I'm going to move that one down like that. Now, the next thing is I want to create the table. So that table is I'm going to place it up here. I may end up having to move this down a little bit into another location. I actually might just put it down here for right now and move these up. Like that. So I have more room up here for my table. All right, now also make sure that they're not encroaching over here, your labels. So the next thing is I want to create a table. Now this isn't a table that's been extracted from the data here. This is just a regular table. So I'm going to show you that in the next video. That's it for now.